the old adage that you bloom where you're planted is true, then few people personify it better than a finance professional and his wife, whose latest stop in life is the middle of Kansas. Their secret? Simply being available, a principle as timeless as the golden wheat waving under the hot Kansas sun.
It's funny, when we got married, we always thought we would be in one town for a long time. We've moved 10 times since we've been married. A lot of different places, a lot of different communities. In many cases, there were raised eyebrows when we would only be in a place for a couple of years, and for whatever reason, God said, no, it's time to move on. The thing that has been consistent is that God has always directed us to people who had a real desire to grow spiritually.
In college, I started with my own Bible study, was mentoring different women there. And then as we kept moving, God would provide different people for me to disciple along the way.
It's known as the Great Commission, not the Great Omission. In so many churches that we've been in, that's not a concept that's taught a lot, that your entire life needs to be geared around reproducing itself.
We went to conferences. They kept telling us, you know, you are going to have all these powerful tools that most church congregations do not have. And we just would laugh and go, sure, yeah, right, but you know they're right.
The material that the Navs have put out based on Colossians 2:7 has been very helpful. We first used it in groups back in the 80s, but that material has migrated now to where it really has become a very effective one-on-one discipling tool.
Jim and I meet to kind of check in to see how we're doing and how those skills and those things that we learned, how they're impacting us today and how we're able to impact other people.
I've known Jim for about 8-9 years now, and our friendship's really built to a real love for each other. I really admire Jim and Cyndy and all that they've done for me and all the things that they've taught me.
You still sharp? You keeping them sharp?
It's every pastor's dream when they come to a church to find laymen that have a desire to do what God wants. And Jim Reynolds is that kind of guy. When someone comes to Christ, that's crucial to a believer that they develop in their walk in the Lord and mature. And Jim has helped us as a church come up with a strategic plan of phasing someone from A, B, C, and D to where they then become the disciple that's discipling someone else.
God impressed on me the idea that I needed to reproduce my life for the rest of my life. And he led me to write down on a page from that point on every 2 years that God would give me someone in whom I would have invested my life into. The idea being that is if they followed that same pattern in their own lives, that God would use me to ultimately reach hundreds of thousands and even millions of people. God is very interested in using you if you're interested in letting him use you.
You start with someone who may just be a brand new Christian, and you give them the basics to their faith, and then you teach them everything they need to know, from having a quiet time, having a prayer time, and eventually it evolves into the point where they can turn around and they can do the very same thing for someone else.
God isn't interested in your ability, he's only interested in your availability. So be there and ask God to use you. You're never going to go wrong. Invest in your lives and people. You'll never go wrong doing that. It's a great reward. It's the greatest reward you can have. It far outstrips anything that I could ever do vocationally. Period.